my body, okay?
Okay. I don't know how to do the host thing, Danielle, but what I was going to say is that everybody that is on here either finished 80-day obsession successfully, woohoo, which is awesome and really impressive to somebody like me who, you know, I just can't even imagine doing hour-long workouts or doing it for 80 days straight. And the reason I decided that I wanted to have this call was because I reached out to Danielle, which is the little girl with the red hair. And I told her that I was going to do it, but I wasn't going to do the eating plan. And she basically was just like, why not? You have to. It's amazing. I love it. And so I asked her if she wanted to talk about it a little bit. And then, of course, other coaches that also completed it loved it just as much and wanted to come on here and talk about it too. So I'm going to let some of the coaches and challengers kind of talk about what they loved about it, maybe overview tips. And then at the end, if we have some specific questions, hopefully we can answer. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, so I'm going to have everybody mute except for Danielle. If you don't know how, I can mute you.
And yes, I'm signed in as Elizabeth Demusi. I don't know how to sign out. So I just use her Zoom all the time. So I am Danielle Doan, but it says I'm Elizabeth. So just ignore that fact. So hey guys, I know some of you have finished 80-day obsession, and I know that when I started, for those of you that are, you know, thinking about it, maybe you're watching it with us now, maybe you're watching this later, a recording, but you might be thinking about it and first of all think, oh my goodness, 80 days, like I can't do that. That's exactly how I'm sure every single one of us felt before we started. I pretty much cried trying to set up my first meal plan. I had never meal planned before. Okay, I did the 21-day fix, but I never actually completed a round of the 21-day fix eating plan. I'll just be honest. I fudged it all the way. I did shift shop, but even then, like I kind of sort of did shift shop. And by that time I was done shift shop, I was like, oh yeah, this has been life-changing. And a week later, I was eating like crap again. I didn't have the discipline, and I didn't really want to have the discipline. I wasn't at the stage of life where I was ready for that. But I had started gaining weight, and what I used to do to lose weight was work out. Wasn't working anymore. And it was weird for me to start gaining weight again. And I was like, this is kind of odd. And I was okay with it. I was okay with my body. But 80-day obsession came out, and I thought, oh man, I think I need to go all in. Like, just go all in. Just do this. Commit to it and do it 100%, because I've never done that before. And what will happen? You know, like what's going to happen to my body? Who knows? But I think it'll be worth it to go all in. So I decided to go all in. And one of the things I did was make this cutie patootie little binder. This was my life. I literally brought this with me everywhere if I was going to be eating. And I know that you can put things on your phone, like in the notes section of your phone. That's one tip that I give people. You can put, you know, your little count for the day and your different meals. But I just wrote out my meals, put cute little hearts next to it, and I check them off. This is like a little page protector. I check them off with dry erase marker every single day. I still do it. Yep, and Jess has her little folder there. I tracked my workouts. I wrote cute little sayings to myself, and I lived by this notebook. And it has all the food plans and everything in there. And it just was like, once I put all that together and I sat down and I wrote it all out, I was like, I'm just going to do this. And I think that's what you have to do, and realize the first few weeks are not going to be perfect. You're still figuring it out. Your meal planning is not going to be perfect at first. I was like hot mess meal planning to the extreme. Like, I can't tell you how many things I burned. I don't cook. My husband cooks, okay? I am a spoiled wife. And so I had to cook because he wasn't going to meal prep all my food all day. I begged him. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't. But like, seriously, I had to do it. And so I just was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I would highly advise getting those Amazon portion containers that you see like the fitness trainers using. Get a big old stack of those from Amazon. Order those up. They come in 2 days if you're a Prime member. And for the first few weeks, especially, I did this the first month actually, and I still do it if I know I'm going to have a busy day. I portioned out all of my meals except for dinner. because I knew my husband was going to cook on plan for me. And we would kind of go over what the meal plan was going to be for dinner, so I would know what meal to save and that type of thing. And then I portioned out from Monday through Thursday. On Sunday, I would portion out. I'd have all my whole countertop full of these containers. It was complete chaos. Like, I had no good system, really. I just had them out, and I would write on the cover with permanent marker what each, this is meal 1, this is meal 2, and I would just stack those up. So when it came time where my little alarm went off, yes, I set alarms on my phone for every meal. When my alarm went off, I would look at my little binder and say, okay, it's time for meal 1, and I'd go into the fridge and I'd grab meal 1. Or if I was going to be gone for the day, I would put meal 1 and meal 2 into my little cooler pack, and I would have those. You have to make it so easy that you don't have to think about it. Do all your thinking one day a week, okay? Do all the hard stuff one day a week. My sister, she took, I know Jenny is going to cringe at this, but she took like these little baggies, and this is one I've been reusing for lotion, just so you know. That's so weird. I don't know why it's down here on my desk. Got lotion in bags, whatever. But she took these little baggies, and she would cook up all her meat for the week, all her veggies, all her carbs, and she would put them in these little baggies, snack bags, all portioned out, so she could just grab, okay, she'd look at her binder. Let's see, for meal 1, I have a red, a green, let's just say you have a red, green, yellow. I'm on like plan D here, so there's so many food things. I don't want to freak you out. I'm eating all the food. I couldn't stop losing weight, guys. It was getting a little scary, and it was weird, so I'm like, eat more food, eat more food. So yeah, she'd look at her meal 1, she would grab a red, she'd grab a green, she'd grab a yellow, and she was good to go. So there are lots of different ways you can do it. Do what works for your brain. I loved having the meals all portioned out, and I just ate what was there. I didn't worry about it or think about it or say, I don't want to eat that. I just said, no, I'm all in. I'm going to eat that. It doesn't matter if I don't want to today, or maybe I'm sick of that because I ate it twice yesterday. I just ate it because I was like, I'm just going to do this program. Like right now, food is fuel. And as I got into it, I learned like better food pairings, new recipes. Once I felt confident about the timing and the different meals, I was like, oh, I'm going to check out Fixate now. Oh, I'm going to go online and look up new recipes. But I didn't do any of that at first. The first like 3 weeks, I kept it super simple, super basic, because there were so many new things I was throwing at myself. I didn't want to like stress about these new, weird, crazy meal combinations. I just kept it simple. So that's like my best tips for starting out, and realize it's hard, but it's like that good hard that you're going to feel so amazing that you accomplished it, that you can't even believe that you did, that it's so worth it. It's so worth it. And there are going to be days where you're like, I just want to eat ice cream. I just want a cupcake, people. Okay? When your kids are like, Mommy, we bake chocolate chip cookies. You won't even bake for us because you're doing 80-day obsession. So you break down and you bake them cookies, and you're like wanting to lick your fingers off as you're portioning them off for your kids, but you say, no, I'm not going to. And you don't eat a single cookie. And then you know what? It's a victory. Yeah, you get to celebrate it. And now you don't even want cookies. That's kind of where I'm at. So anyway, that's kind of a hot mess for you, Jess, but that's my best tips. Like, just go all in and do it. It's changed my life. It's changed my body. Like, I can't even believe. If you want to see my results, you're watching this an hour later, just message me. He's like, man, I'm rocking my 36-year-old body. I'm going to be 37 in November. I'm like, the shape of my life. And I love it. I love it. I'm like, I'm telling my kids, I'm like, oh, look, feel mom's abs. Like, they think I'm crazy, but I don't really care. So yeah, there you go.
No, that's awesome. Can I ask you one question before you go?
Yeah.
Can you get good results with this without following the eating plan 100%, do you think?
Oh, I'm sure you can get results. I know that Elizabeth Demusi has not been following the eating plan 100% because her life is crazy. Like, sometimes you're in a crazy phase of life with baby stuff like that. I think everyone needs to recognize where you are and what you truly are capable of that time. See, my kids are older. I knew that if I set the schedule a certain way, my husband was able to like field all the kids stuff in the morning. And it's just a different phase of life. I couldn't have probably done this a few years ago. I just wasn't in the space for it. And I think that's okay to give yourself that grace and realize I think the workouts are incredible. Like, they really are. I do think the eating plan is incredible, and it's so worth it to just do it and give up some things for a while, and you might even be surprised that you don't want them anymore. So
awesome.
yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you. You can stay on as long as you want, but I know you have to go.
I do. I'm sorry. It's
no problem.
crazy right now. And
no, that was helpful. Does anyone have a very quick question for Danielle, or something that I can ask her later, or you can maybe contact her? I don't know. No? Okay. All right. Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. If you can get me the replay, I want to watch the whole thing.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. I will.
Okay. Bye, guys.
All right, Catherine, I'm going to toss it over to you. Oop. Where are you?
Hi. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Catherine. I just finished the program. I have 2 little boys. They're 3 and 1. And I'm just going to start by jumping off of what Danielle just said. And it kind of goes for who is this program for. And I have to tell you, being in the coach group with like thousands of coaches, it doesn't matter what your fitness level is. Like there were people who I don't think have worked out in years, if ever. And then there were people who were in really great shape to start off with. So that was not a factor. Some people were doing all the modifications. Some people weren't. I personally, if you haven't worked out at all, I would suggest doing a few rounds of 21 Day Fix and a little Obsessed, just because I can't imagine how hard it would be. And the modifier is really good, but I don't know. It's just something to think about just before. But I do think, and this is not to scare off Jess, because I know she's not going to be scared off, or anyone else, but I do think, like Danielle said, the time of like where you're at, and I think that makes a big difference. I'm at a point, my 1-year-old is sleeping through the night. I can wake up consistently I was waking up at 5:15. I started my workouts at 5:30 and I was done by 6:30. So before I was waking up at 5:30 and getting my workouts done, or 5:45. So I had to wake up a little earlier, but that worked for me. But my kids were consistent. I knew I had that hour. I think you just have to figure it out. But if you're home and you know you have an hour of uninterrupted time a day, whether that's with your husband, your partner, whoever it might be, that was just something to consider. I think do not skip the meal plan just because you think it's going to be hard. It is everything. I don't want to repeat what Danielle said. It's going to be hard the first couple weeks, and then you will get into it. I followed it probably like 95% as much as I could. I was breastfeeding the whole time. So I was not looking to lose weight to begin with. So my maintenance was plan C, and then I went up a whole bracket to D. So I was eating a lot of food. Sometimes I do wonder if I would have gotten even a little better results if I wasn't breastfeeding, but for me, that wasn't a question. Like I was going to be breastfeeding the whole time. So, and I was not about to be hungry. So I ate in plan D. I would definitely print out the worksheets that you can record your weights and track all your weights, because you will be shocked at how much you grow. So track all of your weights. They're all on the website, and print those out. Also print out the eating plans. I cannot imagine trying to do it off the computer. I didn't have a binder with me, but I printed it off. You just figure out which eating plan you're going to be eating in, A, B, C, or D, and then just print that out. While I'm on that thought, if you fall into A, give it a few days, but every single person I think went up to B. Like A is not, it seemed like it was not enough food for almost anyone. Autumn did say no matter what bracket you're in, if you're in it for a few days, if you're getting headaches, if you are hungry, bump up a bracket. This is not supposed to be starvation. You should not be starving. Pictures. Before you start, take your pictures and take them in a lot of different poses. I am so mad I don't have better pictures from my before. Take them in a bathing suit. You never have to show them to someone if you don't want to. I was never going to post it on my page in a bathing suit, so I didn't take it, and I'm so mad because I know I had like booty gains, and I will never, like, I don't have that picture from the beginning. I wouldn't have posted it, but I wish I had it. I took it in shorts. You can even just take it in like yoga pants and a tight t-shirt if that's what you feel comfortable with, but also take it in like a bathing suit or something just for yourself. Just have it. Like even little things, and Jess and I had talked about this a lot, but just look up how you're going to take it too. Like take it with your arms out, take it with your arm, like don't stand there. My before pictures are not good. Did you want to say something about that? Oh, I did. I think, did you want, oh, it just jumped over to you. So I didn't know if you had something to say. So be sure to just take your pictures in as many different positions as you can. Do a week of A Little Obsessed if you can. I think that it just kind of gives you the idea of what the program is about and kind of how to work with the bands and how to work with the sliders and everything. So I just think it's a good idea if you could do it for a week. The bands come in 2 sizes. I did not realize this when I started. There are smaller ones and larger ones, and I was using the larger ones and wondering why it was not nearly as hard as Autumn made it seem. And then I realized that they're smaller bands too. So you figure out which ones work for you, but just so you know that if you order them through Beachbody, they come in 2 different sizes. I just thought there were 2 packs. And with that, the sliders, they come with like, it looks like a shower cap kind of on it. If you're working out on like hardwood, you want that on. You can take it off if you're working out on like a carpet or something. Autumn does mention that, but it's like a week or 2 into the program when she mentions it. And I know a lot of people didn't realize that when they started. Trust the process, follow it. We had so many people trying to say, should I bump up? Should I bump down? I mean, if you're starving, bump up, but otherwise just trust the process. It will work. Use the calculations. Follow the plan. Like, do not try to do extra workouts. Don't try to just don't try to mess with it. Just stick with the plan. There are also tons of Facebook groups if you have something specific. So if you are doing it with like thyroid issues, I'm pretty sure there's like a Facebook group for that. If you're doing it gluten-free and dairy-free, look that up. Like whatever it might be, there are people who are doing it. So just kind of don't think that you can't do it because of whatever is going on in your life. If it's too much for you right now, that's absolutely fine, but don't like discount yourself before you even get started. And then the hour-long workouts, guys, I have been loving the half-hour workouts from Beachbody, and I was super depressed when I heard that these were an hour, but they really go by pretty fast. And I loved them. Like, I really do really like them, and the way that she just goes through each of the workouts is so good. And I learned so much about like weightlifting and just working out in general. And she takes you through the different weight reps, and she talks about form consistently. I feel like I'm like a much better athlete at the end of this than I was at the beginning. And that was something I wasn't expecting at all. So I think that's my main stuff that I had that I just wanted to jump in, but I absolutely loved it. I'm going to do another round starting next week. I'm probably not going to be super as strict as I was the first time around. But it was so worth it. And if you can, I highly suggest it. All right. I think that's it, Jess, that I had.
All right. Awesome. So very quickly before, I know Karina and Jenny might both want to say something because they both have done the program, but I just want to take a time out and see if there's anybody who has questions or concerns that aren't being addressed right now. And then I'll let any one of you guys answer it. If you want to, you can just raise your hand and you can unmute yourself. Does anybody have a question that isn't addressed? I know that, Carrie.
Just a quick question. So for the resistance bands, like I have resistance bands. Do we have to go and get those ones, or can we just use ones we have?
No. So you can use yours. They may or may not be the same colors as they're using. So you might have to figure that out. Like if she keeps referring to the blue one, I don't know but you can start with those. Most everyone, I think I knew I had to, they started to get stretched out and I needed to order a second, like a set at some point, but start with the ones you have. Like that, you could absolutely do that. Oh, Karina.
I started with resistance loops that I just bought at Dick's because I signed up for the program very last minute. I did not give myself enough time. What I found was those were actually a lot less resistance than the bands that we use with the program. So if you find that they're less resistance or you're double looping very early, then I would suggest getting them, because the blue loops, which are the most resistance in our program, I could never find retail at that level locally. Just FYI.
Okay. Did that answer your question, Carrie?
Yeah. And then this does you can't sub bands for weights, can you?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so you have to have both.
Yeah, for this program, it's not like some of the other ones, the other programs.
Is it light and heavy weights?
Yeah, that's the one thing. As many weights as you can have on hand. Like you're not going to make it through this program with like a set of 5s and 8s.
Okay.
Like you're going to need a bunch. A lot of people had to go out and get some from, everyone keeps saying Walmart has the best prices. I'm pretty sure. Is that what people are saying? If you have a family member who's not using some, borrow them. Like you will go through them and you will up your weights more than you have ever done it, because she records every week. It's like 1 week she's like, I'm using an 8. Next week she's like, okay, I was using an 8 last week, I'm going to try a 10 this time. And like maybe you were at a 5 before and now you're going to try 7, and obviously you have to do what you can. You might not have every single weight, but the point being that you will want to jump up. Like you are not going to be able to stay at one set of weights the whole time.
Right. They're an expensive investment, but overall they're worth it. Mm-hmm. Because my husband has them, the Bowflex weights, where they like slide in, and I can send you a picture of those, because literally, and I know you're like, whatever, I don't lift weights, I don't think I'm going to go that high. I started lifting with like some squats with 10s, and by the end of the program, I was at 50s. So it's just amazing the jump that you do. So don't limit yourself. So if you can push yourself, do it. And that's why you get the results. So instead of investing in the bottle of wine or Starbucks or Red Bull, invest in your weights. Yeah.
And I'll say I'm in between the two of you, because I couldn't quite invest in those. And we have like old school, like twist the ends on. What I did do, my husband has a lot of like the small weights, and you can add them up. And so I went to Walmart and got like the bars, which you don't realize is like 2.5 pounds in and of itself. So some of my like measurements, like my things aren't right, but I just did the best that I could, because I didn't have enough to constantly be changing. So I mean, at the end of the program, I was like 12s, like, and 20 was the biggest I ever did for like camels or whatever. I made it work, but yeah, if you can invest, I definitely suggest it too.
Okay.
And I honestly bet you could even borrow some from people. I feel like people have them around, even if you're not sure.
A lot of times there's some good deals on like the yard sale sites online.
Mm-hmm.
TJ Maxx, sometimes you can find stuff, but okay. So I don't know if anybody else is like me that hasn't done this program yet, but I'm still doubting myself.
No, it's amazing. It is amazing.
I really want to do it. But
yes.
Could you just give me a tip about where to start? Like mentally, like I know that I watched all of you guys getting started when I was like almost about to pop pregnant, and I just saw the anxiety and I saw all the trial and error. And if you had to go back and give yourself one tip about what you would have done differently at the beginning, what would you say?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Just trust the process.
Yes.
It's okay to modify.
But like read what? Like how do I, like what's my eating plan? Like where do you start? Like actually.
What are you most scared about, Jess?
Yeah.
I'm scared about feeling restricted.
Okay.
And because I actually have stuck with the 21-day fixed eating plan 4 times, and that didn't make me feel restricted. And I just had a few cheats. I would say I probably stuck to it 95% when I actually did it. This just seems restrictive to me, and I'm just afraid that that's going to make me feel deprived, and then I'm going to lash out, and I'm going to like become a rebel.
You have to think of it as a short-term goal to reach, like as a short-term thing to reach your goal. This is not a lifestyle. Autumn will talk about, and we could share later, like about using time nutrition further on, but you're not going to be this restrictive forever. This is a short-term thing to get you where you want to go. And you have to want it for yourself, because if you're thinking like the program is making me strict, you're going to stray, and you will. You have to have that why. And it's just like you tell all your customers, and just like you tell your coaches, like you have to have the reason you're doing this is for yourself. And anytime you're passing on a glass of wine or a chocolate chip cookie or ice cream, you have to think like, I'm choosing this, and you have to really believe it, because if you're thinking I can't have that, you will, like, it'll be a whole mindset. It's all a mindset thing. You have to be like, this is a short-term thing. I really want this. I want to see how like well I can do during these 3 months. Like, that's really all I can tell. Like, that's the best.
That's a good answer. In terms of where to start, is there any resource that was helpful, or?
To just go and read everything.
In Beachbody On Demand?
Like, yeah, in the 80-day obsession, do the quick start, go through that, figure out your meal plan, and give yourself 2 to 3 days to figure out your meal plan. When your first week, it will be so hard to try to figure out. But the first week, I did plan out everything, maybe not quite as organized as Danielle did, but I had it all planned out. And I remember being like, wow, this was a lot easier than I thought. Not the first day planning, but like the actual week, I had all my meals. Like, I was really surprised. So,
okay, well, that's good to know.
In Beachbody On Demand, in Fixate, they actually set up a whole tab for 80-day obsession recipes.
Okay.
But be mindful of knowing what plan you're on, and because, well, yeah, I mean, there are other Fixate recipes that even if they're not 80-day approved, you can possibly still use. I'm sorry if I'm getting feedback.
That's okay.
So just be careful of whatever the recipes are and how that fits within your meal plan. One of the things Danielle was talking about, and I actually showed her this, and you probably can't see it. I'll see if I can send it to you. I have an iPhone. In the Notes app, you can now do like a checklist. And so I set it up so it says my meals, like the hearts, you know what I mean? Green, red, yellow, teaspoon, whatever. I put my workout in. If I was doing recover for part of the time just because I ran out. I put my rest day in there because that's slightly different. I put the refeed days in there because that's slightly different. So that helped me to stay on point. Well, I'm trying to think of what else.
There's no app to track the food like there is for the Fix, though. Not yet.
Not that I could find. I looked in the beginning, but I haven't looked since.
Okay. I only have the trial for the Zoom chat, so I don't want us to lose the recording.
Yep.
So we're running out of time. I have a few questions from Nicole, and I want to make sure that everyone else has an opportunity to ask questions. So just try to keep your answers like short and concise if you can. Nicole was concerned about the timed nutrition, how early she was going to have to wake up in the morning before work. She worried about the eating schedule. Mm-hmm. So can somebody speak to that?
So I'll just jump on. It's different for everyone. You have to know your body. You can switch. This is really important. Oh, these are 2 things, and I know we have to keep a switch. Meal 1 and your pre-workout, you can switch. So I switched meal 1 in my pre-workout so that my pre-workout did not have a yellow in it, and I could use my shake because it was one of the only things I could eat and then start working out about 5 to 10 minutes later without having any issues. That's me. Everyone's a little different. So I literally woke up at 5:15 and I had my Energize and my shake, and I was eating at 5. And I was pushing play at 5:30.
So that makes sense. So this would be my meal one. So it's 2 proteins and a veggie and a teaspoon versus the pre-workout, which is a carb, a teaspoon, a protein, and a veggie.
Yeah. Only that's your deplete day. Don't follow that.
And I don't even know what that means yet.
Okay. But you don't need to, and don't worry about it.
No, it's a long way from now.
Right. So don't worry about it. But yes,
should be
your
right.
meal one and your pre-workout.
Okay.
And then, what was the other thing you said?
Sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. You can, I wanted to just say, otherwise you cannot switch your combinations, which is just so different than the 21-day fix. So
Okay.
like if your blue is paired with a purple and a red and a yellow, you cannot move that blue to a different meal.
Okay. Yeah. Because you're supposed to be getting different food groups at different times of the day.
Exactly.
Right.
So you have to keep the food groups together, even if sometimes you want to switch like meal 4 and meal 3 or whatever, meal 3 and meal 2 around.
Yep.
You can.
You can, but you can't switch the containers.
Right. Okay.
Got it. Okay, cool. Anyone else have questions? I'm just going to look over Nicole's. I think a lot of hers were answered.
I have a question.
Okay.
How important is it to drink the Energize and all the other supplements?
Good question.
So I've always taken a pre-workout. I find that it literally doubles what I'm able to do. I just have so much energy after that. It's not required. There's a meal plan option if you're not doing the supplements. I personally did Energize and Recover. I could tell a physical difference in how my body felt when I drank the Recover versus when I didn't. It's also a free meal. So if you're worried that you're not going to be eating enough food, it's a good psychological thing. Depending on your thing, like I was Plan C, so mine was paired with a fruit, which I think most other people's are. So
Yes.
you could blend it with strawberries or bananas and it feels like a treat, even though it's not. So it's not required. I found it very helpful though.
That's a good answer. And Karen, where you're a coach, just real quick, it would be great for you to maybe try everything out as it's intended to be done, just so that you can speak to it to your customers, who are kind of wondering what you're doing.
And I'll say,
About.
I grabbed it because it was such a good deal, and I did like half a scoop of Energize. I mean, I'm a tiny person, so I definitely noticed like when I ran out, but also the Recover, same thing. And for the first like 2 phases, I did like a half a scoop, and it's like frap is so good. So I got more of it.
Usually they're bad.
Karen, have you tried it?
What?
Have you tried the supplements?
No, that's why I'm like, ugh.
Okay. I can, I have
good.
samples that I don't mind sharing with you.
The Energize lasts forever, especially if like I have a half a scoop too. That one lasts forever. The Recover goes quick. The Recover's delicious. The one thing about it is that if you don't do well with dairy, it's not good. It does cause some like bloating and stuff. I had to stop it, but I'm still so sad to this day because it's like the most delicious thing.
Karen's going to be drinking Recover without working out.
Recover.
It is so good. It tastes like chocolate batter.
Oh, I thought it was a frap because I did ice cubes, banana, and water.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Sure. And I agree with Karina that it's totally the mental, like having that extra meal, because it like gave me an extra like half hour to hour to like eat my post-workout meal.
And I do agree with the Energize really being able to take you further than you normally do. For sure.
Although
Okay.
I do scoop it. You guys are hilarious with your half scoops. You give me all the energy.
I've always been super sensitive to stuff, so that might be it.
Yeah.
And I was breastfeeding, so.
Your hands tingle. That's a good thing to know. If you take Energize, if you guys don't know this, that's something that freaks people out. Is the first time you take it sometimes. That's natural. That's normal. But the first time I did like a full scoop, that's how you know it's working too.
All right. I don't want to get cut off. Jess, do you have any questions? Anybody?
Just a quick question. How do you guys do it, like the meal plan and stuff with family? So, like, I just have my husband, but like I do the whole meal plan for us right now. And he is a pilot, like he's a military pilot, so he has super weird hours that he's not necessarily going to be making his own meals. I usually him. How make that work?
Hold on one second. Jess, if we need to, we can always jump back on. I don't know if you've ever done that.
Yeah, I just wanted to get it on the recording so people could rewatch this.
Oh, can you not record again?
I can. I just wanted them to be able to watch it once, but I get what you're saying. We will if we have to.
Use Fixate. There's like a meatloaf. There's chicken tacos. A lot of times, like I would have my tacos one way, and I don't do well with corn, so I would have it on like a salad or something, and my husband would have it on corn tortillas. He would add tons of cheese to his, but I didn't. The meatloaf, you just have more than mine. A lot of times, I'd make him an extra side of something, rice, because my husband always needs to eat more. So like. Most of the meals, Fixate has some awesome ones that you can kind of just like add a little bit more if your husband needs more or wants to add cheese to something or something along those lines. Every once in a while, like there were a couple times where my boys had pizza and I had leftovers, but for the most part, they ate what I ate for dinner at least.
Cool. All right. I have one last question on here. Nicole said she struggles now with eating and getting in all of her protein. She's trying to do the 21-day fix. We kind of answered this, but do you have any recommendations for getting in more protein? That's kind of a question that I can probably answer. I told her the importance of Shakeology to help her with that. Anyone else have suggestions? I mean,
I don't know. For me, honestly, what I will say that I loved about 80-day exception is, like Danielle, I struggled with 21-day fix. I don't think I've ever really fully completed a round. I felt like 80-day is telling me what to eat when. So I would eat Greek yogurt because I can do dairy. Shakeology, I would do eggs pretty much every day. What else? I would do sausage. You know what I mean? So it actually